During a journey, an unexpected meeting disrupted our plans. My wife, however, pushed me out of the car. Also, she could ensure her moonlight reached the peak. In the piano competition, she hoped for an effortless victory. I clung tightly to the car door, yet she still drove, dragging me for over 10 meters. Watching the fading exhaust of the car as it disappeared into the distance, my heart was filled with despair. I thought I would freeze to death on this desolate mountain road. Unexpectedly, a passerby saved me. Not only that, they helped me recover 8 years of lost memories. The first thing I did after regaining consciousness was to cancel my current identity. Sir, are you sure you want to cancel the name Lindsay Heng? Once canceled, there will no longer be a person named Lindsay Heng in this world. I nodded firmly. Yes, I'm sure. After all, that wasn't my real name. My name is Jing Fan. 8 years ago, I lost my memory due to a plane crash. I wandered into Wrong City, where I was saved by the Liu family. I became their live-in son-in-law. Liu Ruyan and I once truly loved each other. We were even known as a model couple in our social circle. Till 2 years ago, her white moonlight returned to the country. Everything changed. I looked up at the iconic landmark of Wrong City. A live broadcast of the piano competition was being played on the large screen. As expected, without my interference, Lin Fangyu had easily taken first place. During the interview, Liu Ruyan smiled tenderly. Fangyu is #1 in my heart, she said. No one can compare to him. As his manager, I'm so proud of him. Oh, apologies. I thought the first person in your heart would be your husband. The reporter pressed further. Liu Ruyan smiled faintly. In terms of our relationship, my husband is first. But in terms of skill, it's definitely Fangyu. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh sarcastically. Then I dialed a number on my phone. Pite, come to Wrong City in 7 days to pick me up. Amid the clamor, I left, turning into a tattoo parlor. Sir, are you here for a tattoo? What design do you have in mind? The name on my chest. Help me remove it. WZY. Those 3 letters must hold special meaning for you, right? I glanced down at them, then let out a slight smile. They mean nothing to me now. 4 hours later, I picked up a pre-ordered cake and went home. Liu Ruyan was already there, sitting on the couch playing a game. When she saw me, she asked, "What's the occasion today? You actually bought me a cake?" The numbness in my heart turned even colder. Today is my birthday. It's not an important day. Just bought it casually, I replied. Great! Since Fangyu won the competition today, I'll take it to his celebration banquet later. She tossed her phone aside. The mere mention of Lin Fangyu brought a smile to her eyes. Her expressions softened unconsciously. I was silent for a moment, then nodded slightly. I returned to the room to change clothes. Liu Ruyan suddenly came in and stopped me. Z Heng, why don't you come along to Fangyu's celebration banquet? You've won 5 consecutive championships yourself. It'd be perfect for you to give him some encouragement. She said this with a casual tone, as though her words carried no weight. But then I suddenly noticed something. What happened to the tattoo on your chest? Why is it covered with a cloth? It got hurt when you dragged me with the car, I replied. For a moment, guilt flashed across Liu Ruyan's face. Thankfully, it's just an injury, she said. That tattoo is proof of our love. It mustn't be damaged. I replied indifferently. I know. Her expression eased slightly at this. Get ready, she said. We're leaving for the celebration banquet. I nodded silently. Once we got into the car, the little bear ornament on the dashboard played a voice recording. It was Lin Fangyu's clear and cheerful voice. Sis, kiss, kiss. It's another wonderful day. Liu Ruyan's expression shifted subtly. Fangyu recorded this, she said hurriedly. Don't overthink it. I replied blandly. Once the car started moving, I said nothing more. I turned to look out of the window, remaining motionless. Under my feet, however, lay a belt, clearly a man's design. But I chose not to mention it. I just wanted to pretend nothing had happened. After all, I had already decided to leave. I had no desire to engage in any more pointless arguments. Halfway through the ride, Ruyan was texting Fangyu. She seemed to forget that her WeChat account was currently synced with mine. Little dog. When is sis coming? I'm hungry. Ruyan replied. Hungry again? Didn't I just feed you in the car earlier? Greedy little pup, she teased, reading the chat log. I found myself involuntarily imagining the scene of them feeding each other in the car. Suddenly, something clicked in my mind. The belt under the seat. Could it be I clenched my fists but remained silent? Were they talking about doing that kind of thing in the passenger seat? As someone with a natural filth, I suddenly felt a wave of nausea. Stop the car, I ordered Ruyan. I pushed the door open and vomited on the roadside. Ruyan looked at me, anxious and impatient. Hurry up, I'm on a schedule. There was no way I could get back into her car. Seeing me hesitate, she shut the door decisively. Fine, don't get in if you don't want to. Who cares? When I finally arrived at the venue, the banquet had already started. Ruyan gestured for me to sit beside her. I walked over, only to see Fangyu's hand sliding under her skirt. Ruyan stiffened momentarily, but Fangyu caught her hand. In the end, she could only let him continue. During this, Ruyan frequently glanced at me, perhaps gauging my reaction, seeing my indifferent expression. She finally gave up pretending altogether. By the time the event reached its peak, both of them were blushing slightly. In the latter half of the banquet, Ruyan could barely contain herself. Ziheng, she said, could you help me buy some ibuprofen? My stomach hurts. I had no desire to stay there any longer. I turned and left the private room, but as I reached the elevator, I realized I had forgotten my phone. Returning to retrieve it, I overheard the conversation of others in the room. Ruyan, Ruyan and Fangyu are getting more and more brazen. Huh? What can you do? The pharmacy's just downstairs. Ziheng will be back soon. They'd better hurry and make the most of their time. I clenched my trembling fists tightly, finally understanding the truth. It turned out that everyone else knew about their relationship. Everyone but me. Shortly after, the sound of Ruyan's intermittent voice came from the private room. You all ... are so careless. If my husband hears, I'll hold you all accountable. Everyone laughed mischievously. They all said, he's not even here. How could he possibly hear? I couldn't bear to listen anymore. I turned away awkwardly and left. When I returned with the medicine, they were already dressed neatly, sitting on the sofa playing games. Someone remarked, Ziheng came the latest just now. That means you're the only one who hasn't given Fangyu a gift yet. Let's guess what Ziheng plans to give. Over the years, as the live-in son-in-law of the Liu family, all authority was held by Ruyan and her parents. I truly had nothing substantial to offer. Seeing my embarrassment, Ruyan whispered a suggestion to me. Give a red envelope. Put it on my tab. I set down the medicine box and said lightly, the piano I've used for the past 5 years. If you don't mind, that is. Was instantly filled with gasps of surprise. It was widely known that this piano had been handcrafted by the famous master Tattoo, with only one in existence. Back then, Ruyan had spent 6 months persuading Master Tattoo to part with the piano. It was her gift to me for our 2nd wedding anniversary. For a moment, everyone's gaze toward me turned oddly complicated. After arranging for someone to move the piano, I was about to return to my room to rest. Suddenly, the door was flung open with force. Ruyan stood there with a grim expression, staring at me as she asked, what do you mean by giving away the piano I gifted you as a present to someone else? I lifted my eyes to meet hers. In terms of talent, Fangyu surpasses me. Naturally, the piano he uses should be better than mine. Ruyan asked softly, how do you know? Live streams are everywhere. I saw it while walking down the street. This was what Ruyan had said to the audience. She couldn't refute it. But you still shouldn't have given the piano away. That was my anniversary gift to you. I smiled faintly. So what? Liu Ryan froze in place. Lin Ziheng, she said. What do you mean? Do you want to leave me? I replied. If you fall for someone else, I'll leave you forever. Liu Ryan suddenly laughed. Then go ahead and try. Everything you have in this world is because of me. Where else could you go without me? Lin Yongheng, she continued, don't forget that this marriage can't be annulled without my consent. However, I said, my name is not Lin Ziheng. I am Jing Fan, and this marriage is invalid to me. Liu Ryan reiterated, don't even think about leaving me. Stay obediently at home. I'll give you everything you want. Remember that, husband. I laughed, then let's see about that. Over the next 4 days, I began erasing all traces of myself from this house. Clothes in good condition were all donated to the mountainous regions. The old ones were burned in a single fire. Next, I deactivated all of Lin Ziheng's social media accounts. I then went to the administrative building to transfer all the relevant documents. And all of this, Liu Ryan wouldn't notice, because to celebrate Lin Fangyu's championship victory, the two of them had flown to Singapore for a vacation. Singapore seemed like their second home. They loved flying there whether there was a reason or not. 3 days remained until my departure. Lin Fangyu sent me a photo of a little girl eating something. Sweetheart said she wanted candy hawthorn today, so her mom made her the biggest skewer. This wasn't the first time Lin Fangyu had sent me such things, but I never understood. It made sense for him to send these to Liu Ryan, but what did this little girl have to do with him and Liu Ryan? Until this time, I saw a photo where the little girl's face was clear. Only then did I realize. The little girl was the spitting image of Liu Ryan and Lin Fangyu. She was their daughter. So this was why Liu Ryan refused to have a child with me. How laughable. 2 days remained until my departure. This time, Liu Ryan organized a fireworks show for Lin Fangyu. An $8 million fireworks display. Anything to make him smile, she said. She thought it was worth it. An $8 million fireworks display was indeed spectacular. She had once promised to set off fireworks with me, but that promise had never been fulfilled. Now I knew it never would be. 1 day remained until my departure. This time, Lin Fangyu didn't send me any photos or messages. Instead, he sent me an audio recording. In the recording were their intimate voices, the man's low, magnetic tone, and the woman's soft, melodic murmurs. After listening, I merely smiled. Then I placed my phone along with an envelope on the desk, carrying my only backpack. I left the house where I had lived for 8 years. It was no longer my home. The people who came to pick me up were already there, lined up neatly, waiting at the airport. As I was about to board the plane, I received a call from Liu Ryan. Husband, she said, I'm back from my trip. I'm coming to pick you up for dinner now. She was indeed back, accompanied by Lin Fangyu and their daughter. I replied calmly, dinner is in an hour and 20 minutes. Can you make it on time? She smiled as she tied the little girl's shoelaces, casually replying, I'll be there soon. But then I saw Lin Fangyu leaning in and kissing her. He said, wife, you promised to take me and our daughter to the amusement park first. After that, we still need to send Nunu back to Singapore. There won't be enough time. The little girl looked up expectantly and said, Mommy, Nunu wants to go to the amusement park. In the end, Liu Ryan sent me a text message. Ziheng, I have some last-minute work to handle. Let's reschedule dinner for 3 days later, okay? I let out a faint laugh and decisively turned off my phone. Putting on my sunglasses, I walked into the airport under the escort of bodyguards. Just as Liu Ryan brushed past me, Liu Ryan suddenly turned around, staring at my retreating figure. That person looks a bit like Ziheng, she muttered. Lin Fangyu teased her. A person guarded by bodyguards like that couldn't possibly be Ziheng. Liu Ryan laughed softly. True enough. Alright then. New. Let's go to the amusement park. The airplane broadcast announced its final farewell. G1382. This is the tower. The plane has taken off. We wish you a safe journey. Upon reaching the private island, the neatly aligned security staff greeted me with reddened eyes. 8 years ago, when I went missing in a plane crash, everyone believed I had died. Now, with my sudden return, they were overwhelmed with joy and tears. My parents clung to each other, their faces streaked with tears. My younger brother ran toward me, threw his arms around me, and exclaimed, "Brother, I missed you so much." I patted his shoulder. "It's okay. Your big brother is back." My parents embraced me as well, wiping away their tears. To lighten the mood, they began to complain about my brother's management of the company in my absence, saying he had made a complete mess of things, but they admitted it was fortunate that I had returned. I knew my brother was more than capable. It was just my family's way to elevate one and criticize the other, a long-standing tradition of ours. But at the end of the day, we all loved one another. Back in the familiar family home, my parents asked where I had been all these years and why I hadn't contacted them if I was alive. I initially wanted to hide the truth, but the person who picked me up had a loose tongue. In those 7 days, he had thoroughly investigated everything about me. Now, everything was laid bare, without a single detail omitted, to my parents. I slapped my thigh in frustration. Damn it! Even a hired duck gets paid. But my brother here was a free laborer, and one who sold his heart too, performing talents from time to time. My younger brother laughed and said, "Well, performing talents isn't entirely wrong. After all, playing piano was just something we practiced occasionally to cultivate our interests." But still, how do you describe your brother like that? What free duck? My dad snorted angrily and said, "But Xiao Fan, now that you're home, just forget about all the bad things from before. Let's start fresh." I nodded earnestly. Meanwhile, after Ruyan dropped Nunu off in Singapore, she tried calling me only to find no one answering. She began to feel anxious. Fangyu teased her. "Your husband must be jealous again. You know how unpredictable a little man's thoughts can be." What Ruyan didn't say out loud was that she felt a faint sense of unease deep inside her. 3 days later, Fangyu and Ruyan finally returned to Wrong City. While walking, they spotted a music store. Ruyan couldn't resist stopping. She carefully selected a piano. Fangyu naturally instructed the store owner, "Deliver it to Jiangyu apartment, Unit 102, but Ruyan stopped the owner. "Please deliver it to Shuishan Villa instead." The smile on Fangyu's face froze instantly. A hint of awkwardness flashed across Ruyan's expression. "It's for Ziheng," she explained. "I made him miss the competition, even though he didn't confront me about it. But I know he must be upset. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given you that piano. I need to make it up to him." However, when she arrived at the house with the delivery workers, she found the place completely empty. Ruyan frowned deeply. "Ziheng? Ziheng?" She murmured. "Strange. He should be home at this time." She instructed the workers to bring the piano inside first. But as she took a closer look at the villa's interior, the smile on her face froze completely. The house was eerily empty. The flowers and plants Ziheng had carefully nurtured on the balcony were gone. The vase Ziheng had meticulously arranged on the dining table was missing. Even his favorite sets of tableware in the cabinet were nowhere to be seen. Ruyan's expression turned grim. She opened the bedroom and study, only to find that everything belonging to Ziheng was gone. All that remained was an envelope on the desk, containing Ziheng's final words to her. "I know about you and Fangyu. Thank you for taking care of me all these years. I'm leaving. Don't bother looking for me." There was no signature, because in Jing Fan's world, there was no Ruyan. Ruyan immediately called Ziheng, only to hear the ringtone coming from the desk. Ziheng hadn't taken his phone with him. She frantically clutched the desk, muttering, "Impossible. Where could he go?" "Ziheng, She began searching through her social media contacts for any clues. But in this circle, Ziheng never had any friends. Everyone only regarded Ziheng as an accessory to Liu Ruyan, so no one knew where he might have gone. Liu Ruyan felt lost. Then anger surged within her. Ziheng, do you think you can escape from my grasp? If I want to find you, I will find you. 24 hours later, she contacted the police to report him missing, but the result left her utterly stunned. There was no record of a person named Lin Ziheng. Liu Ruyan presented their marriage certificate as proof, but the police remained firm and confirmed that Lin Ziheng did not exist. This situation was something Liu Ruyan couldn't accept. The man she had shared her bed with for 8 years was now being declared as someone who never existed. It was absurd. Liu Ruyan mobilized all available resources, even involving her parents, who took the matter seriously. But still, no one could find him. Even more shocking, she discovered that all of Ziheng's social media accounts had disappeared, as if the past 8 years had been nothing but a dream. After 2 weeks of fruitless searching, Liu Ruyan finally broke down. A wave of uncontrollable panic surged through her heart. She clutched her hair and paced back and forth in Ziheng's room. Finally, her gaze landed on his phone. The screen hadn't changed. It still showed the photo of a peace sign against a backdrop of blue sky and white clouds. It exuded an indescribable sense of tranquility and serenity. She opened the contact list. As always, the only names there were hers and people related to her. Not even a single insurance salesman was listed. She then opened the photo gallery. All the photos of them together had been deleted by Ziheng. It was an empty void. With trembling hands, she opened Ziheng's WeChat. The first message at the top sent her into a daze. Brother Lin, why don't you just die? Ruyan and I already have a child. Yet you still cling to this position without shame. Ziheng had replied with only one sentence. The position is yours, as you wish. Liu Ruyan scrolled further up and discovered that Lin Fangyu had been messaging Ziheng for the past 2 years. The messages were vile and despicable, mostly flirtatious exchanges with Liu Ruyan, intimate photos of them in bed, and explicit voice recordings. Yet in these 2 years, Ziheng had never responded, except for the last message. When Lin Fangyu told him to step aside, Ziheng had replied with those words, as you wish. It was the only message Ziheng ever sent to Lin Fangyu. After reading everything, Liu Ruyan began trembling uncontrollably. She crouched down on the floor, clutching her head. In disbelief, she muttered, Ziheng loves me so much. Without me, he can't survive. He can't possibly leave me. She kept repeating the phrase, as if desperately trying to brainwash herself. Meanwhile, I was aboard a yacht in the middle of the sea, indulging in fine wine and a lively party. My younger brother casually asked, Ryan's been looking for you like crazy. What do you think? Are you really not planning to tell her where you are? I took a sip of my drink and replied, she's looking for Lin Ziheng. What does that have to do with me, Jing Fan? Liu Ruyan, visibly defeated, finally fell ill. As for Lin Fangyu, in an attempt to divert her attention, he brought Nunu back to Asia. Now, Liu Ruyan not only had to search for me, but also take care of the young Nunu. Nunu had inherited her father's clingy nature. She needed someone to feed her, someone to hold her while watching TV, and wouldn't let go of Liu Ruyan's hand at bedtime. Every night, she demanded someone to lull her to sleep. Having been raised by nannies, Nunu barely spent a few days a year with Liu Ruyan. When Liu Ruyan had to truly take care of the child herself, she was overwhelmed. It didn't take long, just a few days, for Nunu to drive her nearly mad. One evening, as Liu Ruyan tried to collapse into bed and embrace her exhaustion, Nunu threw a tantrum because she hadn't been told a bedtime story. In her room, Nunu went wild, breaking a bunch of furniture. Stop! Frustrated and on edge, Liu Ruyan snapped, and she sent Nunu off to her parents' house in anger. At that moment, Memories of the past surged in her mind. Ziheng, please come back, she murmured to herself. Suddenly, her phone chimed with a new email. It was a photo of me at the airport. In the picture, I was wearing sunglasses, brushing past Ruyan. At that time, Nunuyu's nanny had been recording a video of her. This scene happened to be captured in the video. The nanny sent a message. While editing Nunuyu's video today, I noticed this. Miss Liu, can you confirm if this is Mr. Lin? Ruyan compared the images repeatedly. Eventually, she confirmed it. Lin Ziheng, you heartless, ungrateful jerk. But this realization also revealed something else. Lin Ziheng's identity wasn't as simple as she thought. With this clue, it would be easy to track down the high-profile individuals who passed through the airport that day. That same day, while I was exhausted from playing at sea, I was catching up on sleep in my room until I heard a familiar voice. I opened the door and stepped out, only to see my mother holding my phone, engaged in a call. Ruyan's sharp voice echoed through the living room. Lin Ziheng, why didn't you tell me you regained your memory? Why did you disappear without a word? Who gave you the right? I made one little mistake, and you're causing this much trouble? Do you have to go this far? I'm not in a good state right now. I'm hurt, so come back and comfort me immediately. Do you hear me? Standing in the doorway, I watched as my mother's chest heaved with anger. Her grip on the phone tightened more and more. So this is how you treat my son? She demanded through clenched teeth, her face showing the fierce protectiveness of a mother. Her expression was full of both heartache and regret. She had only heard about the hardships I endured over the past 8 years. But now, seeing her son being berated like this, her heart ached even more than before. On the other end of the call, Ruyan fell silent instantly. Uncertain, she asked, "May I ask who this is?" My mother replied coldly, "I'm his mother." At that moment, Ruyan realized something of grave importance. Lin Ziheng's true identity was the heir of the Jing family. Not only had she offended Jing Fan, but she had also offended the entire Jing family. Ruyan's tone immediately softened, becoming deferential and ingratiating. "Mom, I'm your daughter-in-law. I'm so relieved Ziheng is back home. I was worried something had happened to him, and I've been sleepless these past few days. It's great to know he's okay." "Oh, right, Mom. Where is he now?" "We've had a little argument recently, but normally we have a great relationship. You know how Ziheng is, he's an adult now. Please talk to him, so we can quickly make up and give you a grandchild, won't we?" My mother took a deep breath to calm herself before replying. "Who's your mom? My son Jing Fan is single and doesn't have a wife." With that, she firmly hung up the phone. Her perfectly applied makeup was blurred by tears, and her body trembled slightly. I walked over to her, bringing a warm bowl of noodle soup. "Mom," I said softly, "don't cry anymore." My mother gently pushed me away, fixing me with a stern glare. "You're fine." "But your mother isn't. Our Jing family's reputation has been completely ruined by you, letting a woman push you around for 8 years. How could you? How so pathetic." As she spoke, tears welled up again. I knew she was hurting for me, so I pulled her into a tighter embrace. "It's okay now, Mom," I reassured her. "The missing thread in my heart has finally been mended. From now on, I will strive to do better. I won't embarrass you all anymore." My mom choked back her tears. "Yes, thank goodness you've come to your senses. But from now on, you must listen to me. I'll pick your wife for you. We can't let your questionable taste choose a partner anymore." After my mom returned my phone, I finally saw the messages Lin Fangyu had sent me. Message: "You think regaining your identity allows you to look down on everyone else? You'd better give up on Ryan. She belongs to me. Even if you're the heir of the Z family, it won't change anything." Reply: "There's a bond between her and me that you can't understand." I typed a reply and sent it to him. "Have you ever heard of the phrase "a fallen king's demise"? Young Master Lin? I happen to have some time to spare. But as soon as I sent the message, I realized he had blocked me. Thinking back to how this man was once my rival in love, I couldn't help but laugh at myself mockingly. Thankfully, I've now found my way back. My love for Ruyan has been worn down by her, bit by bit, until it was completely gone. Work resumption. I began to take over the Jin family's business once more. After being away for 8 years, there's much to reacquaint myself with. Fortunately, despite my amnesia over the past 8 years, my instinct for business remained intact. I've kept up with financial news and worked on self-improvement all along, with Jinhui guiding me by my side. The transition wasn't too challenging. After half a month, I had basically regained control of the company's affairs and earned everyone's approval. Without the burden of love, my career soared rapidly. Soon, I brought in a major deal for the company. The shareholders couldn't stop praising me. They all complimented my father for having such an outstanding son. Life became orderly and fulfilling, brimming with happiness. I no longer missed the days I spent with Ruyan. The old me always overthought things, hoping she would love me a little more, wishing she wouldn't fixate on Fangyu all the time. I was afraid she'd get angry and leave me if she couldn't see Fangyu. I didn't dare express my dissent, constantly draining myself emotionally. After leaving her, I finally put an end to my self-inflicted turmoil. But unexpectedly, a week later, Ruyan appeared in front of me. That day, I went out to buy seafood. Out of nowhere, Ruyan suddenly rushed up to me and clung to my arm. Dear, I know I was wrong. I won't let Fangyu harm you anymore. I shouldn't have thrown tantrums at you. I truly know I was wrong. Please forgive me, will you? I tried to pull my arm away, but it didn't budge. She continued. I really love you. What happened with Fangyu was just a moment of foolishness. I know you're furious with me. I'm willing to move to the island with you. Please don't divorce me, okay? I responded coldly. The one who married you was Lindsay Hang. Jin Fan has nothing to do with you. As my words fell, Ruyan's lips trembled. She stammered. You are Jin Fan. Jin Fan is Lin Ziguo. We've been married for 8 years. Are you really going to sever all ties with me? I saw the messages Fangyu sent you. I know you care about Nunyu's existence, but Nunyu isn't my biological child. She was created by Fangyu using frozen embryos. Still, she carries my bloodline, which is why I showed them some extra care. I know I've been immature. Can't you forgive me this one foolish mistake? Her voice broke as she spoke, drawing the attention of passers-by on the street. I shook her off. Calm down. This is a public place. Everyone here knows me. If you don't care about embarrassment, I certainly do. Last year during the Guna festival, Ruyan brought Fangyu to celebrate. That day also happened to be my birthday. At midnight, I found her and begged her to stay with me long enough to blow out the candles. She said the same thing. This is humiliating. This is a public place. Blow out what candles? If you're not embarrassed, I am. I no longer paid her any attention. I turned and walked away to avoid running into Ruyan again. I stayed away from the streets for the next few days. But then the owner of the commercial street called me. When I picked up, it was Ruyan's voice. Hello, hubby. Where are you? I responded coldly. What does my location have to do with you? You're staying by the sea, living freely, aren't you? Ruyan's voice carried a hint of grievance. Hubby, I messed up the shopkeeper's merchandise. I can't afford to pay for it. I was utterly speechless. This was so typical of Ruyan's behavior. I could have ignored it. But after all, this was my territory. With her circumstances, she wouldn't be able to cover the costs. I couldn't let my shopkeeper suffer a loss. Reluctantly, I went to the address she provided and compensated the shopkeeper. But to my surprise, waiting there wasn't Ruyan, but trouble. Fangyu didn't even think before throwing a punch at me. caught off guard on my own turf. I took the hit squarely. The punch left a mark on my face. I was bruised. But as I prepared to retaliate, a startled shout came from afar. "Lin Fangyu, what are you doing?" Ruyan rushed over in a panic. She shoved Lin Fangyu away from me. And seeing the bruise on my face, she kept apologizing. "I'm sorry. I didn't know he would do this." I calmly brushed her hand away. My gaze cold as ice. I turned to Lin Fangyu and said, "Apologize to Ziheng." Ruyan. Lin Fangyu yelled at her. "It was him who bullied you first. I was standing up for you. He broke the vows he made to you at your wedding. You shouldn't have gone back to him." Ruyan's face turned pale with anger. "Lin Fangyu, if you hit someone, you should apologize. Stop dragging me into an unrighteous mess." Suddenly, I chuckled softly, and with an air of understanding, I said, "Don't lose your temper. Lin Fangyu was just thinking of you, both for your sake and Nunyu's. He's the person who treats you most sincerely in the entire world." As the words fell, Ruyan looked as though she had just swallowed a fly. I remembered how Lin Fangyu had framed me in the past. I silently endured it, using my own methods to find evidence and strike back. But when Ruyan saw Lin Fangyu suffer a setback, she lost her mind. She called me petty, malicious. She said that no matter what mistakes Lin Fangyu made, he was the one who treated her most genuinely in this world. And me, I was the— Ruyan's face turned pale. I was foolish before, unable to distinguish right from wrong. I know I was wrong. "Oh, so you know you were wrong." Ruyan nodded firmly. I handed her my phone, then reported to the police. "Lin Fangyu assaulted someone maliciously. You're the eyewitness. You know what to do." Ruyan grabbed my arm and shook her head. I looked at her intently. "Can't do it?" Tears welled up in her eyes as she said, "Lin Fangyu is my child's father. Even though I hate him to the core right now, if he has a criminal record, it will affect Nunyu in the future. I don't want that." I looked at her coldly. "Then either report him or let go." With a sudden determination, Ruyan picked up a brick and struck Lin Fangyu. Blood soon trickled from his head. "Lin Fangyu, this is the price for hurting Ziheng. If you don't learn your lesson next time, I'll call the police and have you arrested." She shoved Lin Fangyu hard across the street. Then she turned to me with a fawning expression. "Habi, I've stood up for you. What's the point of dragging him to the police station? At most, they'll just educate him a little. Taking matters into your own hands is far more satisfying. Look, your eye has a bruise." But I made his head bleed. Watching her grinning face, I couldn't help but sneer. Truly, she's a clever woman. But unfortunately, her cleverness is always used for others. Under Ruyan's protective wings, it's always someone other than me she shields. Thankfully. Now, when I see her acting like this, I only find it laughable. It stirs no other emotions in me. But she's like a piece of sticky candy, clinging to me and refusing to let go. Wherever I go, she follows. I don't know how she got hold of my schedule, but she even showed up at a restaurant to block my way. "Ruyan," she started. "Do you remember? When we were in 8th grade, we shared meals together. Back then, everything was so simple. It was just the two of us. We accompanied each other through everything. Only the two of us. It was wonderful, wasn't it? Those moments belonged to us alone. No one could interfere." I let out a cold laugh. "No! There was also Lin Fangyu. Every meal we had later, he was always there with us." Ruyan's expression turned awkward. "That was in the past. It won't happen again in the future." I chuckled coldly without any warmth. Ruyan hesitated before saying, "No matter what, those were our beautiful memories. You can't deny that she tried to play the emotional card, using nostalgic memories. But all I felt was disgust. Those so-called beautiful memories are nothing but mockery. Mockery of how I humiliated myself for love. How I was cuckolded. It's the kind of story that would make everyone laugh until their jaws drop. Ruyan caught onto my sarcasm and didn't bring up the topic again, but she only escalated her behavior. Somehow, she managed to sneak into my house and boldly joined our family dinner. My dad and mom were clearly uncomfortable. Ignoring her wasn't an option, but addressing her wasn't either. They were hesitant to kick her out, afraid I might still have feelings for her. But if they didn't, she'd only stay and take advantage of the situation. After all, Ruyan had an incredibly thick skin. Every time she came, it was always dad, mom, hubby. As if everything was normal. Finally, unable to tolerate it any longer, my mom waved her hand decisively and called for the chef. Chef Liu, is the crab and mango cake I requested ready yet? Chef Liu looked stunned for a moment, but quickly caught on. Rest assured, madam, it's steaming as we speak. Would you like some fresh mango juice in the meantime? Chef Liu's bold yet careful demeanor had always earned my mom's favor. My mom finally turned to Ruyan with a smile. This mango juice was just freshly squeezed. It's very refreshing. Miss Liu, you should give it a try. Ruyan's face stiffened, her eyes darting to me several times. Without hesitation, I picked up the mango juice and drank it. After all, it was her, not me. Who was allergic to mangoes and seafood? For 8 years, I avoided eating crabs and mangoes for her sake. But now, we're nothing more than strangers. Seeing me drink it, Ruyan's face turned pale. My dad tapped the table lightly. Miss Liu, you seem dissatisfied with our hospitality. No, not at all, she stammered. Ruyan, pale-faced, was about to force herself to drink the mango juice, but our housemaid quickly grabbed her, snatching the mango juice away. Oh, you silly girl. Don't risk your life just to prove a point and leave our master and lady carrying a burden for your foolishness. Go, go, go! She pushed Ruyan out the door. The maid practically shoved her outside. Ruyan ended up outside in the yard. By dusk, she was still lingering there. I walked over to her. My family has seafood and mango dishes at every meal now. You shouldn't come here anymore. Ruyan's face crumpled. Lin Ziheng, you're doing this on purpose. I replied calmly. I'm not taking the blame for this. You're overthinking it. It's my mom's doing. When I came back after 8 years, my 1-8-pack ABS had turned into a chicken-chested body. She's determined to fix that. So don't think I'm scheming against you. Ruyan suddenly remembered how, in the past, she would often cut back on my food or even forbid me from eating. She cried and apologized to me. I'm sorry. I looked at her indifferently, refusing to waste any more time with her. Miss Liu, please leave. Then I strode upstairs without looking back. Later, I received a message from Ruyan on WeChat. She had sent it using Lin Fangyu's account, because I had blocked her on hers. Ziheng, I've severed ties with Nunu. Doesn't that make you a little happy? Attached were photos of Nunu crying, and a video my gaze darkened. But then I suddenly laughed aloud. This is Ruyan for you. When she loves, she hand the entire world to you on a silver platter. When she stops, she kick you out without a shred of mercy. Not a trace of sentiment remains. Hey, once upon a time, wasn't I just like Nunu is now? Ruyan will never understand how to truly love someone. She's selfish, only living to satisfy herself. At that moment, I suddenly let go of all resentment. I blocked Lin Fangyu's WeChat account. After that, Ruyan persisted for another 6 months, hovering around me. Every time, I arranged for bodyguards to keep her at a distance. She even started trying to win over my parents. But they hated her even more than I did. Their methods were far more ruthless than mine. After that, Ruyan didn't dare disturb them again. Apart from work and life, I also started going on blind dates, all carefully arranged by my mom. When Liu Ryan found out, she finally broke down. She cried and cursed me, calling me heartless, ungrateful and cruel, but I only smiled indifferently. Her accusations stirring not the slightest ripple of emotion in me. When she learned I had removed the tattoo I got for her, she finally gave up, because even she knew I would never forgive her. Later on, she and Lin Fangyu got married. Because of Nunu, the Liu family couldn't bear to let their bloodline stray outside. They forced the two to register their marriage. But Liu Ryan resented Lin Fangyu deeply, and the two became nothing more than a pair of bitter enemies. As for what happened after that, it no longer concerns me. In the days that follow, I will no longer live for anyone else. From now on, I will live only for myself. The chapter is closed.